I'd like to share step 2 of my 7-step approach to self-hypnosis. If you've watched the video on step 1, you'll know it was called stop. There wasn't a great deal of action in that step. Check it out if you haven't done already. It's important. Step 2, dare I say it, has even less action. And this step is titled sit. This doesn't mean you have to be physically sat down to engage with this step. You could be standing, you could be walking, you can engage in self-hypnosis anytime. But what I mean by sit is actually letting go of 5 kinds of activity so that you can truly rest before moving on to step 3 of this system. Now, the inspiration for this step comes from an ancient teaching, one of my favorite pieces of wisdom. It was taught by a Buddhist monk, a teacher, to his wonderful student, Naropa. The teacher's name was Tilopa, and this became known as the 6 pieces of advice, or the 6 words of Tilopa, or sometimes the 6 nails of Tilopa. Now, this was enough for Tilopa to encapsulate everything he may have wished to share to his student, so that his student may reach enlightenment. I'm not suggesting that you're going to do that, although the potential for that is fully contained within these 6 pieces of advice. What I find is they free us from preconceptions and many of the automatic patterns of thought and behavior, which can sometimes get in the way of our capacity to achieve whatever it is we wish to achieve with self-hypnosis. More often than not, in one way or another, we are looking to have the experience of being happy, feeling at peace, and feeling connected. So I'll get on with the 6 words, and you can play with them later on. We need slightly more than 6 words to explain them. Number 1 is, don't think about the past, or, as I prefer to say, let go of what has passed. Because we know that telling people to not think about something, don't think about something, often encourages them to do just that. But the suggestion here is any portion of your current experience that is about the past, just no need to lend it any more of your attention. That is of no interest to us right now. So let go of what's past. I think of it like some of those habitual thoughts about the past that are calling out for our attention, maybe intrusive thoughts about something that happened or something someone said. Again, they're kind of demanding our attention. They're like a toddler, a small child who is pulling at our trouser leg, demanding our attention. And we've already decided they're not going to get our attention, not right now. So we don't lend them our attention. It's the same with this. Step number 2 is don't think about the future, or rather, let go of what may come. So again, if your mental content is of that quality, it's lots of kind of what if type questions. If you're anticipating what might happen, if you're kind of thinking through all the possibilities, for our purposes here, just let go of what may come. It's of no interest to you now. Step number 3 is let go of what's happening now. Even the experience you may be having, the suffering, the pain, the block, the frustration, the gurgling in your stomach, just for a time. Even this is of no interest to you. A good friend of mine called Archie McIntyre, who I shared the 6 words of Tilopa with, he took some inspiration from it and said that he struggled a little bit when sharing it with others and using it himself with the notion of not doing something. He's got a very creative mind, very wonderful imagination. And he shared something with me. He said, I just imagine I'm kind of sitting back on a sofa or lying back on a big bed in a room with a window on both sides and a window in front of me. And on this side is the past. And on this side is the future. And in front of me is the present. And as I engage with these steps, I just imagine a blind, almost like a remote control blind, just shutting out that scene. And again, the blind coming across even what's happening now. I love that imagery because what's going on can carry on. We don't have to stop it. It's of no interest to us. Number 4 is don't try to change anything. Now, we could go really deep into this piece, and in other videos and audios, we will certainly explore the skill of being willing and accepting of thoughts and feelings, kind of letting them do what they're going to do. But right now, as we learn to sit, we're not going to try and change anything. We're not secretly doing this to get rid of that feeling. We're just not going to try and change it. Number 5 is don't try and figure it out. Often I find the habit of people is to want to get to the bottom of it, to know why it was like that or why that's turning up again, as if this understanding, this intellectual understanding often, is going to free them from whatever it is that's causing them a problem. For our purposes here, stop trying to figure it out. So again, in step 1, we stop. Just stop. Stop what you're doing. Put everything down. And now as we sit, just allow your attention to reel back in to its source. If the past is calling for it, if the future's calling for it, if the present sensation is calling for it, that's fine. We don't need to change anything. We don't need to figure out why it's coming up. Just imagine your attention just returning to its source. And then number 6 is to rest. Just rest. Just sit. Rest. Now, a bit like in our first step, where we engaged in some 6-6 breathing, I may continue to breathe in that way as I sit. Maybe for a minute, maybe for 5, maybe for 20. There's nothing to do. Just rest. I find this naturally, effortlessly, automatically makes any tough experience easier to bear, easier to deal with. And I find that it's also a very useful way of being fully present with pleasant, enjoyable experiences, a meal, company, a conversation, if you can do just this. So that is step 2 of 7. And as I said at the beginning, if you can master this, more often than not, it will be all that you need. Practice. Let me know how you get on. Let me know what you find challenging, but practice.